Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversation. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
Welcome. Please take your virtual seats. To use your virtual remote, please scan the QR code or go to bit.ly/suitsandscrubsremote. Make sure to tag us on social at Nursing Inspired and use the hashtag Suits and Scrubs, Inspired to be a Nurse, Black Men in Nursing, Representation Matters, and of course, Nursing Inspired. Get ready. 30 seconds until we get started to come see what you can be, and that's inspired to be a nurse by those in suits and scrubs. Who else but the Black men of nursing?
Hey, welcome. Happy Wednesday to all of you. And we're so excited on behalf of the E360 Television Network and Trajectory TV. I am Dr. Lauren Michaels Harris. I'm the founder of Trajectory TV and executive producer with E360. We're so excited about today's 90-minute special. We're always looking for great ways to bring great content to great people, and that is why we're all here today. Our host today is Fallon Flowers, and Fallon M. Flowers. We can't leave that M out. She's a board-certified women's health nurse practitioner, an entrepreneur, speaker, a pre-nursing career coach in Chicago, and she's also a coaching client of mine. And I've watched her grow and just change the world one day at a time for quite a while now, and we're so excited to support her today in this wonderful special, Suits and Scrubs. It's for the Black male nurse and also those who are hoping to become a nurse. So pay attention. Now is a great time to share the broadcast out. Any young person of color that you know that is even considering one day moving into the world of nursing or any of the allied fields of healthcare, this is a great show for them to watch. So share it out if you could. More about Fallon. She's received several awards from national and state level organizations, and she served as a keynote speaker for her local Honor Society of Nursing. She's also been serving patients in women's health throughout the past 5 years in the community health setting with medically underserved, low-income, and uninsured patients. Fallon also has worked in clinical research trials, presented at nursing conferences, co-authored poster presentations and journal articles surrounding maternal health as well as hypertension. Her medical expertise has also been used to serve as a peer reviewer for a women's health nurse practitioner journal, and she's also served as a clinical preceptor to nursing and NP students. Fallon has also been involved and she's volunteered with many advisory boards, nursing organizations over the past 13 years, and most proudly with the National Black Nurses Association. Since 2015, she's been on a mission to combat the nursing workforce shortage and to increase the number of Black nurses nationwide by serving as an instructor and mentor to college-bound youth and non-traditional adult students. Fallon achieves this as the founder and CEO of Nursing Inspired LLC with her online school and her one-on-one coaching. Also, she has a clubhouse room every other Sunday called Student Support for Black Nursing. And let me see, for Black pre-nursing students from the clinic to the classroom. She's also a motivational leader. So without further ado, I'll get her in here because that was quite the bio. So Fallon, so glad to have you here. Welcome, welcome. This is your second special. You were focusing on just overall nursing, I believe, in the first presentation, the first one a couple months ago, right?
Yes.
And today it's all about the guys.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, great. We're so happy to have you here. We're looking forward to this. Take it away. It's all yours.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lauren Michaels Harris. And I also want to thank the Trajectory TV news station and E360 TV as well. Welcome everyone to the Suits and Scrubs event by Nursing Inspired. I'm so excited to have this event today. I am your host, Fallon M. Flowers. This has been one of many events that I have attended or will attend this year to inspire the next generation of Black nurse leaders. This is now, as Dr. Lauren Harris mentioned, my second television special that I've hosted this year. And if any of you all have missed our pre-nursing in color event that broadcast on April 1st, you can certainly watch the replay on my website. So why I decided to do is that at Nursing Inspire, we really believe that exposure is key. And this is, not only in addition to helping, as we mentioned in my bio, Black adults that want to be prepared, organized, and inspired to go to nursing school, but also youth as well that are in the high school age range. So if you work with an organization or with a school or with any students in the age range of 14 to 24 specifically, please schedule a call through your virtual remote or the link that's coming across the bottom of your screen. The opportunity to learn about nursing, has to be there, absolutely. And as the saying goes, you can't be what you can't see. So during today's special, if the faces of any Black youth comes across your mind, and that's no matter if they're male or female, please make sure to share this broadcast with them. It's not only for the next generation to be inspired to be a nurse as far as their career focus, but this is also about having a relatable face with a unique perspective for Black patients to be able to see someone taking care of them that they're being served. This is especially now focusing on today's special about Black men and Black families that need this representation most. So if you'd like to request me as a speaker, there's a link coming across the bottom of the screen as well. If we can go to our first couple of slides. So I want to make sure to go over some housekeeping for any of those of you who may have missed the intro video. And so this event is going to end in 90 minutes, and immediately following the Q&A will be on Facebook Live as well as LinkedIn Live as well. And then the virtual remote, we'll put that across the screen again. The bit.ly/Suits and Scrubs remote will take you to where you can join us on Facebook Live or LinkedIn Live to be able to also join us for Q&A later at the end. Make sure, if we can go to the next slide, please. or the next couple of slides, that you please tag us on social media at the handle Nursing Inspired and use those hashtags today: Suits and Scrubs, Inspired to be a Nurse, Black Men in Nursing, Representation Matters, and please, of course, hashtag Nursing Inspired. Okay, I thank you all for being here today. The Q&A is for us in the Central Standard Time. We'll start at 3:30 today. So that's a little bit of housekeeping. And then for anyone who is not able to stay for the entire summit, that's not a problem. You can send us an email at info@nursinginspired.com. And then there'll be a button on your virtual remote that you'll also be able to send us fill out on our contact page to ask for the replay of today's event. So we can go to the next slide, please. Before we get into who's here with us on the stage, I want to know where you all are checking in from. So please, in the comments, I want to see from everyone who is here. If you are a pre-nursing student, where are all the pre-nursing students at? Please drop an A in the chat if you're a pre-nursing student. If you are a school staff, a youth leader, a community member, or even a family member, put B in the chat for me, and then C if you are a nursing student or a nurse. Okay, please drop that in the chat as well. And I see a few people here that's dropping in from Arkansas, Chicago, and Philly. Thank you all so much from around the U.S. From dropping in and tuning in with us today. So I want to get started with introducing our speakers today. So we have an incredible lineup of speakers here today. And I want to start off with Dr. Sheldon Fields. If we can bring Dr. Fields to the screen, please. All right, so Sheldon Fields is a nurse educator, practitioner, researcher, policy analyst, administrator, and entrepreneur. He graduated from Binghamton University with a BS in nursing in 1991 and an MS in family nursing in 1995, becoming a family nurse practitioner. He completed his PhD in nursing science at the University of Pennsylvania and postdoctoral work in the Center for AIDS Prevention Studies at the University of California, San Francisco. He is well known for HIV prevention research, being a research scientist who has maintained a primary focus on HIV prevention and treatment among underserved populations. He is a lifetime member of the National Black Nurses Association and currently serves as the association's national vice president. He was appointed to be the inaugural Associate Dean for Equity and Inclusion in the Ross and Carol Neese College of Nursing at Penn State University. The American Association of Nurse Practitioners honored him with the Towers Pinnacle Award in 2020. He holds fellowship status in the National Academies of Practice, the American Association of Nurse Practitioners, and the American Academy of Nursing. Thank you so much, Dr. Sheldon Fields, for being present today.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. All right. Next, we have Dr. Dwayne Alleyne. Dr. Alleyne is a native of Brooklyn, New York. He resides in Columbia, South Carolina, and is a full-time clinical assistant professor at the University of South Carolina College of Nursing. He received his Bachelor of Science in Physiology from Michigan State University and Bachelor of Science BSN from Adelphi University and Master of Science in Nursing MSN and DNP Doctor of Nursing Practice from the University of South Carolina. Dr. Alleyne has been in nursing for over 20 years, 14 as an acute care nurse practitioner at Prisma Health and Columbia VA Healthcare System. He is the co-founder and executive director of the Capital Nurse Practitioner Group and serves as a member at large of the South Carolina Nurses Association. Dwayne Alleyne served for 2 years on the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee of the American Association of Nurse Practitioners. He is also a board of directors member of DNPs of Color. With the University of South Carolina College of Nursing, Dwayne Alleyne serves as a Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee member. Carolina Clinical Excellence Conference Committee member, DNP Faculty Council member, and Acute Care Admissions Council member. Thank you so much, Dr. Dwayne Alleyne, for being present today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Yes. All right. Next, we have Dr. Aaron D. Franklin. Dr. Franklin is a New Orleans, Louisiana native. In 2013, Dr. Franklin received a Bachelor of Science in Nursing from Lamar University in Beaumont, Texas. After graduating, Dr. Franklin migrated to Chicago, Illinois, where he was hired as a staff registered nurse on the orthopedic unit at Rush University Medical Center. Dr. Franklin quickly advanced in leadership and became a professional nursing staff executive member and has had roles as an interim assistant unit director on the orthopedics unit, hospital operations administrator, unit director, and many more roles. He is currently the talent management department for human resources. In Dr. Franklin's role, he works with the HR department to determine strategies to improve and retain the workforce. He went on further to receive a Master of Science in Nursing with Clinical Nurse Leader in 2019, a Doctor of Nursing Practice DNP and Systems Leadership in 2021 from Rush University, and his DNP project focused on the recruitment and retention of men in nursing into Rush University and is the founder of Men in Nursing at Rush University's College of Nursing. Dr. Franklin is currently adjunct faculty at Rush University's College of Nursing and is the faculty advisor for the Men in Nursing Group. The Men in Nursing Group organization is open to all genders with a purpose to provide a framework for students in the College of Nursing at the University of Rush University, I apologize. And Dr. Franklin was inducted into the Board of Nursing of the American Association of Men in Nursing in October of 2022, and is a member of Diversity Leadership Council for the Rush System of Health and has a strong passion for removing barriers for community members from diverse backgrounds to have access to health care. Thank you, Dr. Aaron Franklin, for being here.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have on the screen, we have here Devontae West. Devontae is a creative and innovative thinker from the South Side of Chicago, born and raised in the Bronzeville neighborhood. And it is no secret that promoting equality and equity amongst the Black people is considered important to him. Devontae has a family history of charity work. His great-grandparents pastored and organized programs during the 90s to promote self-sustainability among the homeless population. During his time at Morgan Park High School, Devontae participated in many student government and professional internship clubs, and by the time he was a senior, served as a director of the special events, homecoming court, and class vice president. Aside from excelling in his studies, Devontae has worked at After School Matters, has served as a leader for health sciences programs, which has an emphasis on holistic health. The program consisted of youth from all demographics. Devontae studied the art of communication, and he is a proud graduate of Harold Washington College located in Chicago's Loop. One of Devontae's career goals is to be a vocal instrument for underserved populations. During the peak of COVID-19 pandemic, he took the initiative to enter the world of healthcare, earning a nursing assistant certification from Chicago State University. Devontae is known for spreading positivity and his willingness to help others, no matter the cause. He has completed a semester of nursing school at ATS Institute of Technology, where he is studying to become a licensed practical nurse. When Devontae is not consumed by his studies, you can find him producing content via social media where he promotes healthy lifestyle choices. He also takes pride in volunteering at local charity events. He believes pursuing a career in healthcare is a calling, and one day a dream of his is opening his own practice to serve his community. Thank you, Devontae West, for being here with us today. Thank you. And then let's see. We don't have our last panelist. Oh, we do. Okay. We do have Tyler Cannon here with us. And we'll be introduced. I'll go ahead and start introducing him as we go to bring him to the stage. So our last speaker is Tyler Cannon. And so Tyler Cannon is a student, a pre-nursing student here in Chicago. And give me one moment because I seem to have lost where his bio was. So give me one moment. Okay. Tyler Cannon is from St. Louis, Missouri, but he was raised here in Chicago in the Gresham community. He's done security and in the hospital setting, but decided to have a change when he wound up seeing at Roseland Hospital the opportunity to network and find a career in nursing. And he met many nurses, nurse practitioners, and doctors that inspired him. And at the age of 26, Tyler attended college at Malcolm X Nursing, and that experience has been nothing but short of amazing for this past year. He has met many people and has learned from many intellectual educators, and he just recently completed his nursing assistant certification at Malcolm X, and he is looking forward to pursuing nursing into the nursing program soon. And he started with no knowledge about healthcare, but he was inspired by healthcare and working in the healthcare setting. And he is now looking to be a future nurse and actually nurse practitioner. So we welcome Tyler to the screen and stage when he is able to fully join us. And now we can go ahead and take a quick commercial break before we go on to the next portion of our show. All right.
Did you know you can apply to over 50 historically Black colleges and universities at the same time for only $20? You can with the Common Black College application. Hello, my name is Robert Mason. I'm the founder of the CBCA. Students around the world have completed the application and received multiple acceptance letters, financial aid packages, and scholarship offers. So visit our website at commonblackcollegeapp.com to apply now. And don't forget to pick up the book, Get Educated, The Man Behind the Common Black College Application. Thank you, and get educated.
So I want to thank everyone here in the audience today for being present. I certainly want to thank all of the men here today who are on our panel, who are ready to share their insights and experiences as pre-nursing students, nursing students, and as nurses today. And not only that experience in surrounding nursing, but being Black in nursing, as well as being male in nursing as well. So we go on, we heard a lot of acronyms and degrees and all of these type of things that are related to nursing. And for those of you who are new to nursing, I don't want to progress without kind of at least sharing a little bit about what some of this, what we call a nursing alphabet soup is. And so if we can bring a presentation to the screen that shows the red and white wheel, we can show that. So some of the different ways that we can enter nursing. We can become a licensed practical nurse or an LVN. There are some programs that will give you a certification, and then, most programs will give you a certification. Otherwise, there are some programs that will actually give you an associate's degree to obtain that LPN or LVN. So they are nurses, and they are a part of nursing. Another type of nursing that you can actually enter into nursing with is a 2-year associate's degree. Otherwise known as ADN. So I'm actually a proud associate degree nurse from the City Colleges of Chicago. And so that's a 2-year program in which you can become an associate's degree nurse. We also have a 4-year Bachelor's of Science, or BSN. So those are individuals that can go through and take 4 years of education and become a registered nurse. And then lastly, there is, well, I won't say lastly, but lastly on the infographic, when we get that on the screen, is the ABSN. So the ABSN typically is for those who have had a degree in a related field, and they went ahead and did an accelerated program. So this is an accelerated Bachelor of Science in Nursing, and these programs can be somewhere between 16 to 20 months. And so then this individual who already has a bachelor's in another field will now have a Bachelor of Science in Nursing. And then one more option that won't show on the infographic when we get that on the screen is the MSN. So there's unique programs throughout the U.S. in which you, if you have a Bachelor of Science in a related field, you can actually enter into something like a generalist entry master's type of program. And this program would prepare you to take the same NCLEX, which is the licensure exam. We'll get to that in a minute. But this will allow you to become a registered nurse as well. And you would have a Master of Science in Nursing. So when we can, if we are not able to pull up the slides on the screen, then I'll go ahead and continue. So I want everyone here that is not familiar with nursing and how everything goes, we can go to the next couple of slides. We'll go back to that. Is this here. So typically for all of these programs of study, for all of us here that are on this panel, we've either gone through this or are going through this. Everyone has had to go through taking nursing coursework. And then after that successful completion, in the midst of doing that, we also do nursing clinicals that are related to each specialty and area of that we're studying in our nursing programs. And then we do have to make sure that we complete all of the exams and exit exams and things that are required to complete a nursing program. And then after obtaining the degree, you have the education as a nurse, but to actually work as a nurse, you need to pass the licensure exam, and that's called the NCLEX. So for those who are the licensed practical nurse or licensed vocational nurse, they would take the NCLEX PM. And then those who came through any of the other programs, that's the ADN, BSN, MSN, or ABSN, they would take the NCLEX RN exam. So I wanted everyone, if we are mentioning any of those things, to you'll actually be prepared with what that is. And so I want to talk about some quick fast facts, and then we'll bring up our panelists and get to our questions. So the fast facts, if we can go back a few, the fast facts are that 6.7% of nurses in the U.S. are Black, 9.4% of nurses are men. And then lastly, we have a small percentage, 7.4% of nurses are full-time faculty that are male. So we have not only a shortage of Black nurses, male nurses, but Black male nurses are even far and few between. So I want to bring up all of the panelists now so that we can kind of get started with our questions. So we'll have everyone come to the stage with us today now. And talk about these questions here. So one of my first questions, kind of breaking the ice a bit, is wanting to know from all of you, were you introduced to nursing, or were you steered away from a career in nursing when you were growing up or even as an adult?
So I'll start. I've been a nurse for over 30 years, and I actually went to a vocational technical high school in New York City that afforded me training in high school as an LPN. I also had a really great role model in my family. My mother's oldest sister my late aunt Lorraine Legall was a nurse, and she was one of those people who I grew up watching being very successful and advancing in what she was doing. And I asked her one day, I was like, "What do you do?" And she told me that she was a registered nurse. So it was sort of a fait accompli. I was pretty smart, went to high school, graduated, thought I was going to go to med school, absolutely hated biology. And my very first year in college, my college counselor said to me, "Aren't you already a nurse?" I said, "Well, yeah." He says, "Well, we have a nursing school. I suggest we transfer." And the rest is, as they say, fait accompli. But nursing was a much better fit for me.
Thank you, Dr. Fields. Did anyone else want to answer?
I guess I'll hop in. Hello again, everyone. I knew pretty early, like as a kid, that I wanted to be a nurse. And I don't know where it came from because I didn't have anybody in my family that were in nursing or anything. I just remember being super young, telling my dad I wanted to be a nurse. And it wasn't something that was that was taken easily. It was, and you know how we always want to impress our dad, especially as a Black male growing up, and it didn't seem like a space where men can go into. And I remember changing my aspirations to like, I'm going to be a doctor. And so I remember growing up, my whole family would literally call me Dr. Franklin growing up. And then my mom, she made sure I was in programs specifically for kids that want to go into healthcare. Since ninth grade, I've been taking like medical terminology. I got my CNA while I was in high school. And it wasn't until I started college, pre-med, and it's similar to Dr. Phil, but mine was chemistry. I was like, I'm not liking this. Not really feeling it. But also I think it was, I felt like since I was working as a CNA since high school, I felt there was this affinity and attachment to nursing. And I regressed to where I remember that moment with my dad. And I was like, I actually like nursing. And I changed my major my sophomore year to nursing. So.
So I actually did not want to be a nurse. And when I first got into college, I actually went to college because I love biology. I'm like Dr. Fields. I love biology. That was my favorite subject. And I had my mind and heart was set into going to med school. I actually went through all the programs and went through all the prerequisites. And then I practiced for the MCAT. Things didn't work out because I didn't do what I was supposed to do as far as networking with professors. You had to get all these recommendations. I took MCAT preparation courses, could never score high enough. So I said, what should I do? I did not want to just go back and keep going back to school. So I went back home because I went to Michigan State University, went back home, tried to apply to PA school, got into the first roll of interviews, then got rejected. I tried to apply again and I got rejected again. I tried to go to surgical tech school, got rejected again. So I didn't know what to do. I was like, maybe I should go back to grad school. I can get back into med school, but I did not want to be going back to school and not have a career. So my mother, who has been a nurse, she said, maybe you should go to nursing school. I said, no, I don't want to go to nursing school. I'm not. I refuse to be a nurse. And then her friend, she was good friends with someone else that was a nurse, and I was lost and trying to figure out what can I do in this in-between time so I can stay in the health field. She just suggested I go to this LPN school, and they had a short starting time because I wanted to get into school early. So within 3 months, I went to a technical school as an LPN, and that worked out great. And since then, I fell in love with nursing and progressed quickly through the BSN, went into the military, and here I am.
Wow. All right. Devontae, did you want to share with us if you've been steered away or if you were introduced to nursing?
Sure. I am similar to Dwayne. I did not want to be a nurse at all. I actually went to school for broadcast journalism, and I went to a university, and I ended up coming back home and enrolling in a community college. But the thing that really interested me as far as like going into nursing was the COVID-19 and just seeing so many people pass away from it. And so that's sparked my interest into actually becoming a nurse.
Wow. Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much. And that's so what's so very interesting about a few people's stories is that well, majority of the stories here was that most didn't want to become a nurse, it sounds like, or was looking at pre-med or considering pre-med, and everything was surrounding medicine except for Dr. Fields. Well, Dr. Franklin as well, but I still seem to hear the resounding more about medicine more than it was about nursing. And that's where I really like to kind of emphasize that exposure is key and how we need to make sure that we are exposing those at the high school level and even younger than that to do so. And so, there are programs out there that that definitely with MBNA specifically, I can say that does actually with the Mini Nurse Academy actually introduces youth as young as elementary school actually. And so there's lots of programs and things that are starting to come about, but we do need to increase the exposure in nursing. Okay. I want to move on to the next question. So for when you were entering into your programs, were you or are you the only Black male in your prerequisites or in your nursing classes or program?
Oh, yeah. I've actually been the only Black or Latino male in most of my nursing programs. And I didn't have a Black nursing professor until I got to my PhD program. So even in my LPN program, I was by myself. I started out not being the only one in my baccalaureate program, wound up being the only one in the baccalaureate program, was the only one in my master's program. And I was the first Black male ever admitted and completed the PhD in nursing at the University of Pennsylvania. It's a very common theme. I went on to be the first Black faculty member ever hired at the University of Rochester. I'm the very first male nurse to ever be a Robert Wood Johnson Health Policy Fellow, yet alone be Black or Latin. It's a cacophony of first. Nothing I ever really attempted to be. It just kind of happened that way. But one of the things that I've been very clear about, Fallon, I want to be very clear about this. Although I found myself to be the first, I was absolutely determined that I would not be the last. So I've made the whole idea of very active and intentional mentorship an active part of what I do. And I actually mentor quite a few other men of color who have been interested in nursing, including the first, they looked up, although I was the first faculty member at the University of Rochester, they quickly looked up and they had 3 Black men in their PhD program in nursing, all of whom have now completed that program. And I had something to do with that.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Fields, for not, for being the first in so many instances, but never settling for being the last. So we appreciate you and we honor you for all of your sacrifices over the years. Did any of the rest of you want to join in on that? And Tyler, please join us as well with this question about being the only Black or a male in your prerequisites or nursing classes or program.
Yes, for all my classes, even the LPN, I was only a Black male, and also the only Black male in my Bachelor's of Science course, and even my acute care program, I was only Black male. So one of the things that was uncomfortable about that was I was an easy target. Everyone knew who I was. Anyone caused trouble, or if I do anything different, they usually say the Black guy, the Black male. So I made sure I excelled, and not only being the only one, I made sure I showed and proved that I can excel in whatever environment I was in. Even though if I was the only one, I made sure I definitely showed I could be the best, because I was one of the top students in both of those situations, and well known and well loved by the professors. So I had to make that distinction. I said, okay, I'll be the only one, but I can show you just because I'm black, I'm not going to be struggling. I'm going to be helping you out. So that's why I did.
Indeed. Yeah, show up and show out. That's what we have to do these days for sure. Dr. Franklin, Mr. West, or Mr. Cannon.
Yeah, I can hop in. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay. For me, nursing school, we had like an unusual class. It was like 20 something men, which was odd. That was in 2000 and who was that? 2011? Yeah, 2011. But it was kind of like that. This is a strange onboarding year. But we did have maybe like 4 or 5 black men, which was also kind of strange too. But I would note that, as I mentioned, I started in high school. I was always the only like boy in classes in these health science technology classes. And then honestly, it wasn't until I started to practice as a nurse that I started to feel that, wow, there aren't any black men and also any men around here. And so I think that's where it started to kind of shine a light for me in many spaces that I've worked. And I think you get used to, after a while, being the only one. I mean, it's sad. It's kind of, you get used to it until you start to meet other folks, and then you realize, like, yeah, I am the only one, huh? And then it's kind of like, yeah, we have to. And so I think that's how I really got so passionate about this work with increasing men in nursing, black men in nursing, because as Dr. Fields already mentioned, I don't want to be the last one. And so just continuing to expose myself to say, hey, I'm here, because I know that one of my biggest motivations was seeing a black man in nursing for me, that made me continue to go on and advance in my career. And so it's kind of been my thing to be that same person for many other folks, so that, we can continue to have more black men in nursing and men in general.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Franklin. Devontae, you were going to chime in on that?
Yeah. So in my prereqs, there was a ton of black males. But as far as once I got into my actual program, only, I would say, 2 guys out of 30 women. So I think things are changing a little bit as far as men entering into nursing school. So yeah, prereqs, there was a ton of men, but once you got into the program, not a ton of guys.
Wow. Thank you so much for that. And we have, there has been some things that have shown something about the pre-nursing pipeline and what's going on with the prereqs and progressing to the actual nursing program, and how there are some leaks in that pipeline, but that's a conversation for another day. Now, Tyler, thank you so much for joining us. Tell us, have you been seeing that you are the only black male in your prerequisites, and as you are getting ready to apply to your nursing programs?
I'm not the only black male in my prerequisites. I was one of 2. When I joined the BNA program, I was the only one. It was me and another friend of mine. We both joined together, so it was predominantly females. But as far as my prerequisites, I'm not the only male. I share quite a few males, but it's been mostly predominantly female around me as far as getting into the nursing setting, like the BNA, then going to different types of recruitment centers and stuff like that, and just speaking to different people. Most of my support team is females, actually.
And we still know that to be true, because nursing is still predominantly a female profession, and more so also with those that identify as Caucasian and white as well. And so we still have more strides to go. That's certainly for sure. I'd like to go on to our next set of questions. And so have you ever gotten this, being a male, gotten this question of, why didn't you become a doctor, or when are you going back to med school?
Can I go?
Go ahead.
When I told my family that I was going back to school to become a nurse, that was like their response. Like, are you sure you want to be a nurse? Because I think when we think of nurses, we typically think of women. And I mean, since working in the field, I mean, it is female dominated. but I heard that question a lot. Like, might want to consider, going to school to, maybe become a doctor versus a nurse. So that was a huge comment that I would always come across. But I love nursing, and so yeah.
You're almost there with us. Keep going, Devontae. All right. Anyone else get that question or comment or charge?
Well, this is Tyler. Well, for me, it wasn't going to school to be a doctor. My father's a fireman, so I got the question a lot as to why I didn't want to be a fireman. But it was just, like I said, I worked most of my life since I was 18 in security in hospitals. So I've been around that setting forever. My father did want to get me into the fire department, and it was just something about nursing that kind of drew me in. I always wanted a career where I mattered, to helping people, and I thought that was nursing for me. And so far, it's been great for me.
Yeah. So I think a lot of us get the question, and as you've heard us, some of us even thought about it. Like I said, I grew up being told, "Oh, you're really smart. You're going to be our family's first doctor," and they meant medical doctor. But when I realized that my passion really lied within nursing, which is a very different discipline, and all the things that you could do with the nursing degree. And one of the things that I decided was I was going to get the highest degree that I could get in nursing. So I'm a super nurse. I'm a nurse with a PhD from an Ivy League school. I am a doctor.
Yes. Say it loud and proud, Dr. Fields. Say it loud and proud.
Yes. And I've had to tell some of my medical colleagues that their earned clinical doctorate does not trump my earned research doctorate.
I'm not going to be jumping that fire. But I allowed you, though. I give you kudos and credit. Absolutely. All right. Anyone else have that same experience? We get some head nods on that.
I was going to just mention that outside of kind of like the similar things that they've mentioned, as a practicing nurse, I think I was mistaken a lot as like an environmental service, somebody from the kitchen, nurse aide. Every once in a while I'll get doctor, but most of the time I haven't really gotten to where like you're the nurse. So it's like it's constantly having to educate folks. Like, no, I may empty your trash while I'm in your room being your nurse, but I'm not the janitor that's working on duty, or so it was a lot of educating. And I think it was a lot of like, especially for Black patients, they would like kind of be like their eyes will bulge out when I say I'm a nurse, and they're like, wow, like you're a nurse. And then they're, let me call my nephew or let me call somebody to let them know. So it always was a fascination for Black folks, especially that I was a nurse. So yeah, that was pretty much my experience. I've had a lot of mistaken identities for sure.
And that actually kind of leads into my next question, because I actually wanted to know from all of the panelists here, who has experienced that whole mistaken identity thing? Have they assumed that you were the CNA or nursing assistant for those that are nurses already, or that they assume that you were security or housekeeping, for instance? So did anyone else have that experience with working in the healthcare setting?
I would say because of how I dress, since I work in the hospital, I wear a jacket. So it's usually the opposite. People think I'm the doctor. And when I say I'm not the doctor, I'm a nurse practitioner. They say, well, you're still better than them anyway. I'm still going to call you doctor. So just based on my presentation and how I present myself, and even if there's some happy incident in the beginning, by the time I'm done with them, dropping my knowledge and showing them I know what's going on, they say, oh, wow. Okay, doctor. So I usually don't get, and so I think it depends on what you've dressed, because I know in our hospital, they're dressed in there's dress codes for each one. Like, for example, the janitors or the environmental services people dress in purple. So if unless I walk around in purple, they will not mistake me for somebody in that different position.
Like Dr. Franklin, early in my career, in Dwayne, before they had different color scrubs, when everybody wore white,
Right.
I was always the nursing aide or the janitor or patient's transport. And I'd be like, yeah, no, I'm not any of that. And you would tell them you're a nurse, you have your ID, and they would still kind of look at you like, yeah, but I just, and you could see the confusion on their face. You know, even when I was a charge nurse and the patient was like, well, can you, like, when you make your rounds, go and send the charge nurse down? And I was like, oh, that's me too. So it was always this sort of confluence or conflict. But it was a lot of educating. And usually people, you know, you take care of them and they realize that you don't do anything different. I've had some really positive experiences from those patients who, at the end of like a 3-day, you know, tour or whatever, they would say things to like, you know, I just want to let you know that you're a really good nurse. I was like, I appreciate that. I worked really hard to become a nurse. So.
Absolutely. And yes, you did. Yes. And mistaken identity not only happens with Black males in nursing, but, you know, Black women in nursing too. But that's a whole nother topic. But it's for the latter part, it's not so much as are you the doctor? We have more on the opposite. DNA, et cetera, and not, you know, giving kind of the respect and honor that a Black person can be educated and be a nurse and be a charge nurse, a nurse practitioner, and so on and so forth. And so we still have more education and work to do, but I think when we increase our numbers in nursing and we share more things like this, then people can understand and see and not have those microaggressions, as I'll say, and not believe that this is not possible for us. There was a comment that was across the screen that we wanted to ask, that we had one of our viewers ask, and it states, as males in nursing, do you believe you have to have an advanced degree to be credible?
I can answer that. I'm sure there'll be different answers based on the scope of field, but I don't think you have to have one to be credible, but I think you should have one to be more impactful. I can say I shunned the doctorate of nursing practice degree initially for 10 years before I decided to get it. And after I got it, I then realized the impact it would make. I've been involved in so many different things. People have been reaching out to me, strangers on LinkedIn, Facebook. Even just now, I had people send me emails, would you be their mentor? Can you give me advice? So yes, I do think you don't have to be credible, but if you want to make impact, especially with the lack of us in the higher levels of DNP, or you should get it. I would say 100% get it, make the impact, because we're needed in those spaces where there's not many of us. So get that degree. And that's all I gotta say about that.
So I'll answer it this way. Clinical competence does not equate to one's degree all the time. You can be quite clinically competent without an advanced degree. But in certain places and spaces, it depends on what you're trying to do. And that determines whether or not you need an advanced degree to be seen as credible. I'll give you a good example. I am a long-term academic. And if you're going to play in the space of academia, you better have every advanced degree that you can get, because that's simply how the game is played. And if you want to be research tenure track, you better get your DNP, then go get your PhD. And that's just the fact, because they won't see you as credible without it. So it all really depends on what it is that you really want to do.
Thank you all so much for weighing in on that question. And so we want to go ahead and take a quick commercial break before we get into the next section.
Hello, hello, hello. I have a question for you. Have you ever felt completely lost? You know, seeking purposeful direction that could and should propel your mission within your divine journey to that next level, but still it hasn't happened. Well, my name is Lauren Michaels Harris, and I'm the founder of P3, the Journey Series. People come to me because they're wounded. Many are scared, and even there are those who are bruised simply because they feel that they are increasingly, for whatever reason, losing their ability to dream. Now, this P3 program is not for a person who's just looking to start a business, no, but rather for those of you out there who have been on your journey and you've been navigating within your divine purpose, but you still desire to elevate to that level that you have not reached yet. If this is appealing, if this describes you, then I want to have a chat with you. I want to hear your story. So use the link below to get registered for your free seat at P3, the Journey Series. And let's get started, one story at a time. I'll see you inside. Click the link.
You can navigate the legal and emotional journey of divorce and exit a marriage the way you entered it, with mindfulness, love, and respect. Solace Divorce Mediation is a full-service law practice helping couples focus on the health and well-being of children and their forever co-parenting family. Our streamlined divorce journey offers flat fees with an estimated completion time frame of 2 to 4 months. If you or a friend need us, visit solacedivorce.com.
All right, all right. What an impactful session, just kind of breaking the ice a bit and just seeing how these nurses here have been prepared as they entered nursing and what their experience has been just starting off and just overall just what their experience has been in nursing. And so if you have learned something, I want you to drop a pill emoji in the chat and let me know if you learned something, because we're not dropping pearls of wisdom in nursing, we're dropping pills of nursing. So drop a pill and learn if you've learned anything just powerful or just been inspired by anything so far today. We can go ahead and start bring all of our panelists back so we can look at some of our next questions. And so I want to ask now from all the panelists, do you have a male nurse mentor? And if you do, is he Black?
I guess I can hop in on that one. When I actually started my nursing career in Chicago, I was hired by a Black male unit director. And that was something that was like just so random for me. I've never seen a Black a male leader in an organization before. So I remember the interview being it was such a great interview. I felt like that I was able to really see myself as him. He was like funny, comical. I think that I'm funny at times. So it was cool because in leadership, you don't really, I guess my perspective was that it's like these militant type individuals. And so Dr. Fred Brown, he had his DNP and he was a unit director. And so I remember when I left that interview, I was like, wow, like that's, I didn't expect that. And then maybe like 4 or 5 years later, I became a unit director with my DNP. And I owe a lot to that exposure, to seeing someone who looked like me. And for many years, he's co-faculty advisor for men in nursing in the college now. So I'm working with him constantly. But over the past 9 years at Rush, we were the only 2 Black male leaders in the organization. So we always had this joke, like one of us have to be in the room if something's going on, so we're able to speak for our folks. So I think that has been super instrumental to me, having someone who I could identify with, just randomly text when I'm like having some weird, because I'm pretty sure a lot of you all have had experience where you're like, this just doesn't feel right, but you don't have anybody to talk to about it. So he's that person for me where I'm just like, are you picking this up? And, so I think it's super important to have mentorship, which is why I put myself out as a mentor for many Black males in Chicago, for sure.
Yeah. So I'll answer the question the same way I answered the last one. It depends on what you want to do. I've had mentors that were very different based on what my goal or objective was. When I wanted to become a dean, I sought out mentorship. And I had to seek that mentorship out from mainly white women because they are the vast majority of those who are deans. So I've been mentored by white women successfully to become a dean. I've also, my main sort of Black male mentor has always been Dr. Randolph Rash. And if you don't know who Dr. Rash is, everybody should. He is the first African-American male to ever earn a PhD in nursing in this country. And when I first met the man, I cried because I had never met anybody else who had one. And they told me for years that it wasn't possible. But you look at the mentors now, like Dr. Ernest Grant, in everything that he was able to do as the first Black male president of ANA, Dr. Courtney Leiter, who was one of the first Black men to ever become a dean of a major school of nursing when he became dean at UCLA with his ND degree. So, again, you seek the mentor for the objective. And at the end of the day, it shouldn't matter what that person looks like. I think you can get help from anyone who is vested in intentional about wanting to advance your career.
I'll go ahead. I would love to have a Black male as far as a nursing mentor, but you don't come across them often. I've worked as a CNA in multiple hospitals. And then usually when you do come across Black men that are nurses, it's kind of like, oh, hi, bye. Oh, you're in nursing school. Good luck. And so like, as far as a lot of Black male nurses being like relational or seeking out people to mentor, you don't see that often. Personally, because aside from me being a CNA, I'm a substitute teacher. And I always try to build a relationship with like my students. And so, hopefully once I do become a nurse, that's something that I would like to do, is to mentor other Black men to become nurses, especially coming from the South Side of Chicago. It's just so rare that you see a man who's Black and working as a nurse.
So Devontae, I'm going to say this to you. I think it depends on where you're looking. So you sound like a young man that has not yet become a student member of the National Black Nurses Association, in which we have a large group of men who will gladly mentor you. We have a Black Men's Health Committee. We throw an annual Black Men's Bow Tie Breakfast at our annual conference, which is coming up August 2nd through the 6th in the city of Atlanta. You need to join us. I guarantee you we can find you the mentorship that you need amongst Black men.
And I'm too kind of the same with Mr. West. It's, I'm a CNA as well. I work at a nursing home. And it's the same. When you see another Black male, it's kind of a hi and bye, nice to see you here. But I don't have a Black male mentor, but I have a female Black male mentor, and she was my BNA teacher. She's kept in contact with me since I graduated the program. Her name was Devorah Williams. And she's always, any questions that I have, I've always been able to direct it to her. She's always responded. So, it's kind of what Mr. Fields said, you can get help from anywhere. So she's kind of been the person that stuck with me since I've graduated her class. So that's my mentor until I can find me a Black male mentor.
All right.
I can say in my spaces, I've been the only one. So I haven't had during my nursing career, I haven't had Black male mentors. Because like even starting nursing school as a nurse, I was the only Black male nurse. As a nurse practitioner, I've been the only Black male nurse practitioner in any field in the hospitals I worked at. I'm the only Black male faculty at the University of South Carolina, so there's nobody to aspire to. I haven't really started being exposed to I haven't really even seen all the doctor of nursing practice Black males until I started getting involved in the national organizations like DNPs of Color. I'm gonna get involved with National Black Nursing Association as well. I haven't really even been exposed. So just seeing 2-3 is a dream, because I've never seen us together. I know there's other Black male DNPs, but I just haven't seen them together in one place until I did join DNPs of Color. I went to the AAMP conference. So it's a rarity. Just where I am in my spaces, I don't see it. So I have to go outside of my work environment just to get exposure to Black males doing the same thing or even doing more than I'm doing.
And I was just gonna just say, Tyler and Devontae, I'm in Chicago, so definitely we need to connect for sure.
Absolutely. The Chi-Town Connect. Let's do this. And now I want to go on to another question that's, partly related to this. And that is, why do you think that Black males aren't entering nursing? And now, especially something that Dr. Fields brought up to me earlier with this recent change with affirmative action and this whole passing of things. How do you think that affects education of Blacks, males, and nursing?
Mhm.
I was hopping on. Oh, sorry.
Nope, you go ahead.
I was just going to speak on kind of growing up. You see, it's like the stigma of nursing. So if y'all grew up watching like Grey's Anatomy, and anytime you see a nurse being depicted as always a white female. So I think just to start off, it's kind of like our first interaction with outside society is TV, and I think that is something that's super discouraging, especially in Black communities, when you bring up nursing, because all we see nursing is white women. Like, why you want to be a nurse? That's not for men. So I think that is one of the biggest things, the stigma. And then we take that stigma and we just carry it on and on and on and on. And we say things to our kids about, what nurses are, and then they continue that down the line. And so it's kind of just breaking the cycle. And I think that's what us being on this today is doing. For some people, it may be their first time seeing a Black male nurse. And so I think it's just basically we're going to have to just continue to break the cycle and to be proud to be a nurse. And I think I ain't going to lie. When I started off as a nurse, it felt like I felt awkward in spaces when, you get this man, he's like, yeah, it's football, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you the doctor, whatever. And then you're just like, well, I'm a nurse. And, it's kind of like, oh, okay. And they're like, nurses are cool. And you're like, come on, man. Like, it took me some time to even get to the point of like really feeling good as a nurse. But I think the biggest thing for me has been health outcomes. So if for anyone who've had, and for those who are CNAs too, we know how our male Black patients act or respond to us. It's different. It's totally different, which is why a lot of times we are the ones that are put in the rooms with Black male patients or the more complicated patients, because it's not that they're complicated, it's that they're not understood. And I think we are able to understand their background and where they're coming from, and not take offense to things that they're saying because of just the way that they talk. So I think it's just continuing to break those cycles and those stigmas to make it to where it's more of a space. And which is why I'm continuing to, like, I'm going to be out and proud to say I'm a nurse, because it's going to inspire somebody.
So I agree. The profession is historically overly feminized and is portrayed that way. And, you get these people who have very traditional ideas of gender norms, men versus women, that are so stuck in that binary that they cannot think beyond those stereotypes. I also remember being teased and ridiculed when I went to nursing school from people both within my family and without. No one laughs now. But, it took many, many years, and you had to have a certain amount of fortitude. What concerns me is the lack of exposure to those of us who are here. I mean, we might be few, but we are here. And yes, I've stepped in front of classrooms all the time where they've never met a male nurse, a Black nurse, let alone a Black male nurse. So you wind up being a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And unfortunately, what the Supreme Court just did in striking down race-based conscious admissions has the potential to hurt the admission of Black men into nursing school, because they already don't want us here. They don't see us here. So anything that puts up a barrier, and most of us, the admissions to nursing school is so high. They're not letting people into nursing school because you're Black. That's not happening. The admission criteria to get into nursing school on a campus here at Penn State is some of the highest at this entire university. And I know that to be the case at most places where there's a waiting list to get into nursing school. But any little thing that they can now use to keep us out of nursing school, they're going to use. And the Supreme Court just handed them more ammunition to do that. And I think it's really unfortunate.
All right. I think some Black males don't think they're worthy of going through the rigors of nursing school. I see it from a very sad perspective, being at primarily white institution, University of South Carolina. I teach undergrad as well as also I teach acute care and doctorate. I've yet to have a Black male doctorate student pass away. The undergrad is, I have about 500 students. There's probably about 5 to 10, the most I've seen. In the main program, I teach pathophysiology as well on the undergrad. The most I've seen is 5 or 10, and most of them do not make it to upper division. Since I've been in the academia teaching the acute care graduate nursing programs and nurse practitioners since 2017, in the advanced practice courses, so far I've only seen 1 Black male. I'll see him tomorrow. There's only 1 Black male. None even, they're not even moving up. My other concern is that they're not even moving up the ladder. They're not going through the program. So that's very concerning. I actually went up to the Black male and said, you're the only one? He said, huh? He looked at me like I was crazy. I said, you're the only one I've seen so far. I'm so glad to see you. You have a lot to do. You need to represent. So yes, I think this is just a guess. I'm thinking that they don't think they're worth the time or they're worthy enough to go through the rigors of nursing school, and especially when they don't do well the first time, they kind of step back and just drop out altogether instead of pushing. Because many people push, they may fail multiple times, they push and get through, but I think some of the Black men just say it's not worth it and you just drop out and do something else. So.
I agree with Mr. Dwayne as far as a lot of Black men are actually traumatized as it pertains to healthcare. And that's a huge factor. I remember like when I was getting ready to do like all of my prereqs, how a lot of the counselors, they kept telling me like I should not pursue nursing because there's a high chance that I would drop out of my program. So, I mean, it's just a lot of trauma that goes along with this field, especially concerning Black men. So.
And so, so with this, we see it from so many different standpoints now from this new change in the way we educate people and allow them to enter programs. We have advisors sometimes that are doing such. And then we have personal endurance and being able to kind of push and continue on, which really kind of goes back to, do you have a mentor? Are you involved in any nursing organizations? Because community, I think, really makes a difference in who you surround yourself with to help you to push. So if your family members aren't there, if you don't have friends there, get a mentor, join a nursing organization, even as a student, join as a guest, but do it. I became a student member. I actually, before I even became a student member of National Black Nurses Association, Chicago chapter, shout out. I went to the meetings as a guest. And so it really makes a difference to have someone, it's a lot of someone's really, if you can, to keep being there and being your community, and so with all of this, I want to know from you, so for you, Dr. Aline and Dr. Fields, what challenges and experiences have you had in administration and education? And then for the rest of you, if it's been in practice, policy, research, what challenges have you experienced being a Black male?
All right. So one of the things is, and I tell you, one of the biggest challenges is being in the world where people think everything is okay. What's going on with the attacks on CRT and excuses for racism, where they said everything is fine. The common thing that drives me crazy is when they say, as long as you make money, you have a job. That shows how racism doesn't exist. So based on that mindset, that's one of my challenges. So if a student says something out of term to me, or if I'm dealing with challenges from students or just from systemic issues of me getting fair workload, I'll be told, well, that's how it is. Everyone goes through this. This is normal. And they don't understand what the challenges I go through as a Black male. I can say one of the challenges is people recognizing that I'm being discriminated against because I'm a Black male. I went through a very trying time my first year in academia because all the students were very, did say some things that were very questionable. They were attacking me aggressively, and I was told that's just how it was. And when I tried to explain it to other people, they did not see it from my perspective, except for one person. One person recognized, well, this is maybe racist, but no one else did it. They saw it just as, this is what everyone does. This is what everyone goes says. And no, as a Black male, I can tell you I faced discrimination in every professional aspect of my career. So there's certain familiarity which occurs, and this occurred even in an academic setting where people are condescending or they question your intelligence, and you have to attack back and say, hey, I'm not no dummy, I know what I'm talking about. So that's one of the challenges. Recognize just because I'm intelligent, I'm in a good position doesn't mean I'm immune from discrimination. If I point it out, you should recognize that and give me the support, not just blow off and say, yeah, well, you're blessed. You're still a professor, and you still can do what you can do. So no, I'm not comfortable. So for the first year, I was not comfortable. I can say that, and they know it too. So there's no secret. I told them I was not comfortable, and I was not getting the support I needed. Being the only Black male, one of the things is people do not like. As a professor, you have certain power. You have power over the grades. They don't like that. People don't. One thing. People from other races will be comfortable with you as long as you're beneath them. But once you're above them, you start to see the hate. They find ways to cut you down. So that's the challenge. You have to fight back, and all you have is your reputation and your work. So that's what saves me is my reputation and the work I put out. I said, well, they say this about me, but I do this. So who are you going to believe? So that's the biggest challenge.
Yeah. And your integrity, Dwayne, and your integrity. So institutional and structural racism is real. And there's a certain image about what people think Black men in this country are supposed to be. And I am very aware that when I step in front of a lot of places and spaces, that is the very first thing that they think. And I am not any of what they think that I am supposed to be. I am the very antithesis of what they think I am supposed to be. And it creates a psychological dissonance that happens. And you can see it happen on people's face when you're talking to them. Like when I used to step in front of my classroom and people would be like, well, how can you be our professor? You're only 30. And I say only 30 because I had a PhD. By the time I was 30, I was a nursing professor. These students had never had a male nursing professor, a Black nursing professor, and I taught graduate school. So they weren't used to seeing someone who was younger than them. And I would get comments in my teaching evaluations and be like, Dr. Fields is very knowledgeable and knows what he's talking about, but he's intimidating. And I would, and my supervisor would be like, well, that's concerning. It's like, what part of that statement concerns you? The intimidation part. I said, oh, because that's interesting. Why would that concern you in the fact that they told you that I'm knowledgeable and know what I was doing? Because that is all you should be concerned about. Their perception of who they think I am is not my concern. And this has always been a challenge at any point in my career. The other piece is I'm very mindful about the places and spaces where I present and how I show up. I am very aware that in certain instances, I cannot get angry. I cannot raise my voice. I can't do any of that, because then I become nothing more than an angry Black man. And that is all they will ever see. So challenge upon challenge.
I'm like, preach. I I think for me, as a CNA is when I kind of experienced, and I was a CNA in Texas, and y'all, I said I'm from New Orleans, so I'm from the South. So I've had many patients who just did not want me to care for them. And I think as when you're entering into a profession where all you want to do is help people, it's hard to take that. Like, why don't, like, I was super kind. I smiled, I greeted them. And I think it took me a long time to really, to really kind of get to a space where it's kind of like you have to build this resilience. And I didn't realize that constantly year over year, the resilience was building, but I think it was actually wrong. Like, this is wrong. Like, why am I being treated like this? And I think one of the interesting things was I was a unit director of a nursing unit after George Floyd's murder and all the civil unrest was going on. And you can see how everybody were walking on eggshells. And it was very challenging being one of the only Black male leaders. It's kind of like, well, y'all, this stuff has been going on. Like, when I leave outside the hospital, police are messing with me. I mean, I've constantly been messed with by the cops. I'm on elevators with white women and they're clutching their purse. I mean, like, this is common for me. So, I mean, I'm glad that you guys know now. But I think that it's like it's constant, not wanting to be the angry Black male. You know, you always have to check your meter. Like, let me see. Okay, you gotta constantly, like, talk in your head, rehearse what you're going to say. I got to make sure I'm coming off the right way, because I don't want anyone to get confused. So it's a constant thing that you have to like, kind of, unfortunately, learn to, like, survive in whatever environment you're in. And it's every blue moon, you know, you'll run across a pack of Black nurses and you're like, ah, you know, it's like, it's weird. Like, you don't know these people from Adam and Eve, but you would swear that they're your cousin, brother, nephew, you know, they're your family, because, you know, for so long you have to walk around with this facade, like, you know, because so you don't want people to misunderstand you. But then you get around your people, you're like, what's happening? You know, what's going on? So it's definitely challenging. And I would say for anyone who's wanting to embark in nursing, just know that, you know, some of those microaggressions and things are going to be there. But I think it's going to be continuing to increase the number of us that's going to change for generation to generation.
Yeah. So that's why the National Black Nursing Association conference, Dr. Franklin, is more like a family reunion for a lot of us, because we see a reflection of ourselves, and we can love on each other. Because I've made this statement before, and I'll probably make it throughout my career. I fell in love with a profession that doesn't always love me back, and it's very unfortunate, because I've been able to do some amazing things with my nursing career, and I wouldn't change becoming a nurse. But it did come at a personal cost. There are some constant micro and macro aggressions that I deal with all the time. You know, the funny thing about, you know, the white women in the elevator clutching their purse, and I'd be like, I got a PhD from Ivy League school. I make more money than you. I got my Amex Platinum card. I should be clutching my purse. No. I don't buy into those stereotypes. But nursing doesn't always love us back.
Wow, that's so absolutely true. And Tyler, have you had any, you know, experiences as a CNA too as well, in healthcare? And Devontae, otherwise I want to make sure to include you.
I would say most of my experience come from where is, you know, people just telling me, you know, this isn't the career I should have chosen. You know, I'm 6'2", about 300 and something pounds. So people tell me, you know, it's a lot of other stuff I could have done. And, you know, it came to a point, you know, I was insecurity. That was something that was I was on my way to being a police officer, but it was just, I worked in psychiatric hospitals. So, it was just, I just kind of got tired of, almost getting stabbed, I always having to put people in headlocks. So that's what made me get a career change. People, even now when I go into people's room, like, I'm like, no, I'm a CNA. Like, you're a big guy. That's what I get. I get most people just telling me this shouldn't have been what I picked. I should have looked into something else.
Wow. Thank you, Tyler. And funny enough, with the amount of violence, unfortunately, that nurses are experiencing at the bedside, you may not be escaping that. So I'm glad that you already got some of those skills, but we do want to, of course, know our de-escalation procedures and best nurse practices to be able to do that. But it doesn't end, Tyler. I'm gonna let you know that right now. We are going to go into a few more questions before we get to the Q&A. So I want to make sure, because we're about 5 minutes out from that all of you who are watching on all the other platforms like the Amazon Fire TV or the Roku or E360 TV, all of those different networks, Facebook Live and LinkedIn Live will be where you'll be able to continue to put comments in the chat and questions in the chat so that we can ask these wonderful men of nursing, Black men of nursing here in this panel, some more questions, because we got to get some more insights. We got to get some more juice from them, some more pearls of wisdom, shall we say. Now, so we're going to skip the commercial. I want to know from you. So we have lots of different health disparities among Black men, no matter if it's like cardiovascular disease, prostate cancer, colon cancer is big, diabetes, hypertension, mental health, HIV. What have you heard as being barriers, not so much as the nurse, but as barriers in the community? So if it's at the barbecue, the barbershop, basketball, whatever, what are you hearing from your fellow Black man? Why are they not coming to the doctor?
I'll start because I used to be the health minister at my church. I used to be the chairman of the health ministry. So I used to actually run health fairs. And, of course, a lot of Black males within the church. And they, I'm the doctor of the church. So they'll come up to me or call me or have their mom or cousin call me if they have something going on. And one of the things I realize is lack of education. So some people don't even recognize simple symptoms of certain disease problems. One of the things is lack of knowledge of diabetes. I work in the hospital. Majority of the people that come into the hospital with DKA are Black males, and that's the first time they found out they have diabetes. And I asked them, do you ever get yourself, when's the last time you've been to the physician? And they're in their 40s or 50s. I never go. I don't have to because I'm not sick. So one of the issues is Black males feel like they do not have to go to the physician for a regular checkup. They don't understand preventive medicine. I did pose a question because I did a presentation at one of we have a getaway every year for the Black men of the church, and I posed a question. I said, how many of you guys been to, first I asked them the age, and said, how many are in their 20s or 30s? And I said, how many of you been to the doctor in the past year? Only people in their 50s raised their hand. So there's a reason why from the 20s on, they don't go to the doctor. I've been going to the physician since I was 20, found out I had high cholesterol. I'm on 2 different meds for cholesterol. I eat healthy. Sheldon can tell you, Dr. Fields can tell you, I eat healthy, but I still have familial cholesterol. My cholesterol is super high. If I did not get treated in my 20s, I probably would have had a stroke by now. So, and I felt fine. I never felt sick. So these are how that's why we have the highest about stroke, heart attacks, diabetes, hypertension, people on chronic kidney disease, because they don't get checked out until after. I can tell you how many of my male friends end up going to the hospital and they're calling me. I said, have you been to the doctor? Or no, my blood pressure is 190 over 150. So that's like the lack of knowledge, reluctance to seek out preventative medicine, only feeling to seek out healthcare when they're really, really sick. And that's a big area.
I feel like that's a problem as well. From what you said, Black males don't feel like they need to go to the hospital. To the doctors just to get checked up. And me at 20, I'm 27, And I've been, not say forced, but I've learned the importance of going to the doctor, getting regular checkups. My uncle was 50 and he just passed away from cardiomyopathy. And you know about that, it's hereditary. You know, my father has it and he didn't take care of it, and it's led to him having congestive heart failure. And it's a chance that I may have it, my sisters and my brother. So, you know, going to the doctor is very important. And people, you know, black males just don't, some people are scared of the doctor. You know, that if they don't know, they don't have to fear it. That's something I've heard a lot. You know, if I don't know I got it, I don't have to take care of it. I think that's something that definitely got to be broken.
So I'll put myself out there personally because I'm going to assume that at 53, I'm probably the eldest person on the panel. And it took until this year when I turned 53 for me to finally schedule my colonoscopy, even though I know I should have had it years ago. But Devontae said something very important earlier about the trauma that we experience as Black men growing up in a country, then as Black men encountering a historically unfair, institutionally structured medical system. You know, our medical mistrust is earned. We have every right to be mistrustful of a system that has historically mistreated us. So you got to seek out, you know, people who look like you, but you gotta find someone you're comfortable with, and it's breaking down barriers one conversation at a time in places and spaces where we feel comfortable, such as that barbershop. There's been a ton of information about doing health fairs and health conversations and linked to where Black men show up, such as a barbershop. You know, I used to do that when I had hair, but you know.
I was just gonna just hop in and say upbringing is a big factor. So my men in nursing group, we did like this health promotional thing at this majority Black high school on the west side of Chicago. And I remember talking to one of the young men, and they were just, we were teaching them about diabetes and high blood pressure, stuff that like they didn't know anything about. And it humbles you because I'm realizing like, wow, like when I was young, super young, I didn't really know much either. But I think it was the comment about the Kool-Aid with the sugar, like having like a bunch of sugar at the bottom, and it literally almost took me out. I'm just like, oh my gosh, we did do that. And I'm thinking about, you know, and I'm not sure if I don't think any of you say you're from like deep South, but my grandma, like we used to be forced to eat. Like we had to complete our entire plate of food, no matter if you're full, you have to eat it all. You couldn't even get your drink until you ate every last scrap on your plate. So I think we're taught early on that we need to finish our food. We're going out into various restaurants and trying to stuff all the food down because we have it on our plate. And that has been something that I think it was in my mid-20s that I started to really change. Even I think Dr. Phil mentioned it, like I knew better because I had already become a nurse already. But I think upbringing trumps a lot of stuff that you learn. I'm used to eating everything and all of everything. But I think it's been trying to be a little bit more closer to like, when I get older, I don't want to have all of these issues and stuff that all of my older family members have had. And so I've been a lot more into fitness, but I think it's upbringing. We have to try to change something in that because we come in just ready to eat, and and it's not, it's good, but it's not good for your body long term.
Thank you all so much for answering that question. And I just want to drop that in the comments too for everybody in the audience and everything, because, you know, these conversations, you know, as healthcare professionals and future healthcare professionals need to be had when we are at some of these family gatherings or at the, you know, barbershop, the basketball court, the barbecues, all of that type of stuff. We need to have these conversations and look at those alternatives and not put so much sugar in your Kool-Aid. And that sweet tea, my God, it's good, but my God, you know, we gotta make some changes, people. We gotta make some changes. I want to thank all of you who have been watching so far today, just watching this television special and panel. We are going to continue now with Q&A now from the audience. So for any audience members, if you had some burning questions, please get those geared up and everything. We're going to just take a little bio break. And so we'll be back in a couple. So if anyone needs to get some drink or a bathroom or whatnot, please do that. And then we will be back shortly. Thank you.
Did you know you can apply to over 50 historically black colleges and universities at the same time for only $20? You can with the Common Black College application. Hello, my name is Robert Mason. I'm the founder of the CBCA. Students around the world have completed the application and received multiple acceptance letters, financial aid packages, and scholarship offers. So visit our website at commonblackcollegeapp.com to apply now. And don't forget to pick up the book, Get Educated, The Man Behind the Common Black College Application. Thank you, and get educated.
All right, welcome back. We have now gotten to the Q&A portion of today's TV special. We have had such insightful and even just fun conversation and just hearing so many different insights from the panelists today. And I want to make sure that we get to some of those comments and some of those questions that some of the audience members have had. And then otherwise, if any of the panelists want to even pose a question as well to kind of continue the conversation as well, I want to make sure to do that. And thank you, Steve, for acknowledging the panel presentation. We appreciate you. Do we have any current questions here that I can review over? So I see a lot of great comments here about just some of the different things that we talked about today already. And so let me see. I do still have, there is a question, looks like that was posed earlier from Jordan Chambers on Facebook. This question was posed to Dr. Aline. It says, knowing the rigor of nursing and support systems that students need to make it through, do you think it's a barrier that Black men don't feel like they are capable, or do Black men not feel that they have support? How do we bridge this gap? What resources are available to decrease this stigma?
Great question. So I asked myself that question. One of the issues, or I'll say challenges for me as faculty, is a large volume of students. And, you know, as faculty, you have to be careful not to be biased, because, you know, I'm tempted to go individually to those students, but you have to, you know, be present for everybody. So that can make things kind of sticky. If they do come up to me, I'll pull them in and give them all the support that I can. But the challenge I face as faculty is, especially with the Black males, I can tell you, is they sit way in the back, kind of generally apathetic, and never show up at any of the review sessions. I can say, particularly from my class, we have a pre-test review session, post-test review session. Not one Black male showed up, but we have several, like at least 3 or 4 or 5 before the exams, and like 5 or 6 after. Not one Black male shows up. You know, we have pictures in our Blackboard, that's our educational platform. So you can see the pictures of the students and based on their grades. So I know who's not doing well. And some of these students need to come up to me, or at least show up to my, and they never come to my office hours. So I'm trying to figure out why they don't feel comfortable to show up and, you know, seek out help, especially if they see me. I'm here for you. I can't take you and grab you. It has to be a two-way street. You have to seek out the help. Only time I see help is when they are in trouble, and all of a sudden they're failing. They can say, "What can I do?" I said, "What you could have done is came out earlier." So I'm trying to find a way to bridge this gap. I kind of talked to some other professors, especially Black faculty, to kind of find ways to reach these students and like show that we were open for help. But I don't know. It's right now it's a mystery. And maybe the students can provide some insight, because I even recruit the students. I say, "Hey, you need to reach out to your fellow students and say, hey, we're available. Tell them to come seek out Dr. Aline." So I even try to use students to encourage their fellow students, and they still don't come. They don't seek help. They don't take advantage of all the opportunities we have for all the students in order to be successful in the program. So it's sad. I wish I could do something, but I can't.
Thank you so much, Dr. Aline, for answering that question. And that's just so interesting to hear how, you know, you are available. And as the saying goes, you know, we can lead a horse to water, but we can't make them drink. And it seems to be that's, you know, somewhat of the cases that you are present, you have office hours, there's these additional opportunities to ask questions, but for some reason, there's this just delay in approach, I guess I'll say. And so hopefully those students, you know, hopefully they're watching maybe, or, you know, just something can happen, because they need to be able to, you know, successfully come through that program. And if you don't reach out for help, you know, that can make the difference. And I definitely advocate for that all the time, making sure to use your professor's office hours, especially in my student support Sundays, when I speak on that with the Black pre-nursing students. Go see your professors, take advantage. They're there for you. Please don't wait till the last minute and you're on your last exam and, and it's pass or fail time. That's not the time to get to know somebody. It's absolutely not. So thank you so much for answering that. And we have a comment here on the screen here from Jesus Manana asking about Crane Medical Prep in Illinois. I've actually been over there to speak before. And it says that the school has great programming partnerships with lots of different hospitals here in Chicago, but they need to engage the student body more around topics like this today. I don't know if you all got my postcard, but I certainly sent one. I've certainly mailed one over there to Crane about this event. But we can certainly get you the replay, Jesus, for all of your students to watch. And this, just make sure to stay in contact with all of us here. And we can all share our contact information if you want to hear more from us. I'm here in Chicago. Dr. Franklin is here in Chicago. Devontae West is here in Chicago. Tyler Cannon is actually here physically in Chicago. And then we never know if we're blessed enough to have Dr. Fields or Dr. Alina make their way to Chicago, but we never know what can come forth. But as my mom always said, nothing beats a failure but a try. So you have to ask. So if you ask, you ask what they say, you ask not if you seek not, something like that. But anyway, moving on. We have another question here. Do any of the panelists do entrepreneurs coaching? That's interesting.
So yes. So in my introduction, you heard part of my introduction as a nurse entrepreneur. I launched my own LLC called the SDF Group several years ago to do healthcare consulting work. As nurses in general, we're asked to do a lot of things. And as you grow your expertise, we give a lot of it away. Mm-hmm. Well, I stopped giving it away. Dr. Fields has a fee schedule. And Dr. Fields has a fee schedule for anything, everything. If you want Dr. Fields to come give a talk, there's a fee for that. Because I have garnered that expertise. My other colleagues were charging, and I needed to up my game. So I talked to a lot of younger nurses and helped them set up their LLCs and get their fee schedules together, because you have something that the market needs in whatever clinical area that you happen to garner your expertise. And you should be appropriately remunerated for that. So I'm all about nurse entrepreneurship.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I do not coach entrepreneurs, but I am otherwise known as the Black Pre-Nursing Coach. So a little bit of a shameless plug on the Today Show. So if you are a Black future nurse or pre-nursing student, please make sure that you reach out and schedule a free discovery call so we can get you started and get into these nursing programs. Okay. I see another question here that was earlier on, and it says, this is from Ife Muyiwa Oju on Facebook. It says, to the panelists, have you seen any change in the perception of nursing around you since you persisted in nursing or attained your advanced degree?
Well, I don't have an advanced degree. However, I have seen a huge change as far as, and correct me if I got this question wrong, but I have seen a huge change in men wanting to become nurses because of social media. Was that his question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was talking about the perception of nursing, since you persisted in nursing. So since you're kind of continuing on, so yeah, have you seen a change in the perception of nursing?
Yes, social media is a huge factor in my answer because a lot of people do like this thing where they do like a day in the life of a nurse. And I think it's really good for students that are interested in becoming nurses because they kind of get like a little feel of what we do in nursing. So I will say that it is advancing as far as exposure, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Slowly but surely, when I became a nurse, the percentage of men in nursing was about 2%. What did you say it was earlier? 9.4, 10. It depends on who you ask. Mm-hmm. I've seen as high as some people say it's like 12%.
Yes.
But it took for me, it would have taken 3 decades for that to change. That's a long time.
That is.
I also see a change in it as well. I'd say when I first started in 2022, looking into nursing, no, 2021, and looking into nursing, it was mainly, it was mainly females. Now you see that when I tell everybody, I tell everybody I'm in school for nursing, like to finish my degree. They always let us know that males are high praised, that there's a shortage in black male nurses, and that they're always open. So I hope that the message does get passed around a lot, and a lot of males does hear it.
Yeah, same here. I feel like it has changed since I've started. I guess almost 10 years ago. I think it was kind of in that little space of like, because I feel like social media wasn't really portraying nursing that much. I do see it now. But yeah, definitely shifted it a lot more. I feel like it's not a question too much as often if you see a male in nursing, but it also may just depend on where you are. Like if you're in urban settings versus like out in remote areas, because I that's also something that I've come to realize, like just because, this area is increasing in their knowledge doesn't mean the same for other areas. And so some folks are really behind and probably still are in the same space that I experienced, or even Dr. Fields, where he even started his career. And then there are other areas that are super kind of up to date and advanced to where folks are talking about as kids being a nurse. So I think it just depends on your location.
I think the perception of nurses has changed since I've got into it about 20 years ago. I mean, in the role itself is used to be where when someone said you're a nurse, they say you wipe butts and give medicine. That's all you do. But now people are respecting the nursing field as, oh, you're a nurse, and they have to clarify what field are you in, because there's so many opportunities in nursing that many people don't know about. But now they may assume, like if you're a male, they may assume you're in a leadership role more so than at the bedside. And so I think that's the positive aspect of nursing, that, oh yeah, you're not just working in a hospital, you could be in informatics, or you could be a CNO of a hospital, or you can be a professor. So I think they're seeing that I'm seeing that more of that perspective versus, oh yeah, which hospital do you work at? How come you don't have scrubs on? So that's a good thing I've been seeing about nursing.
Thank you all for weighing in on that question. I think it has changed as well with all of that, because a little bit like you all, I was also encouraged about, you gotta be an engineer or you gotta be a doctor. Out of that, I was not exposed to nursing, and also nursing was not as well respected, I think, when I was growing up, as someone mentioned about the close ADL or activities of daily living type of care that nurses were giving. And so nurses were not recognized for our knowledge and the vast variety of places that we can work, environments, specialties, degrees. And I think that is totally changing. And I'm so grateful not only for social media, but for the different nursing organizations and even the commercials that's been on television that's really helped. And of course, the COVID-19 pandemic has certainly shined a great light on the importance and value of nurses. And I'm sure we're looked at a lot differently now as nurses in general, but even more as Black nurses. Associate degree nurses and LPNs are given a new light again, especially after the pandemic, and of course, Black male nurses. So I thank all of you for being here and answering that. So we're getting ready to wrap up soon. I want to see if there's any other questions here in the chat from the audience at all. So many comments and questions here. Okay. And so a question that I want to bring up is to all of you is, this one is a good one, I think. The term MRSE, which is the combination of male and nurse. Some people use the word MRSE. What are your thoughts? And I want to hear from each of you on this one, and then we'll end out.
No. Simply no. I've never liked the term. Don't refer to it when you're referring to me. I think some people use it as a derogatory No.
All right, Dr. Phil said no. All right, y'all.
I'll go. I honestly don't believe that it makes or break you. This is healthcare. And so we dedicate our lives to our patients. And so you can call me a nurse, long as I am content with my career choice and I'm impacting someone. Whatever you call me doesn't really matter at the end of the day, as long as I have the credentials and the education to go with it. So sure, why not?
Okay. Can we get an amen up in here? All right.
I'm probably the same way. It's probably a no for me as well. I mean, if you call me that, I'm not gonna get offended. I don't see myself calling somebody else that, another black male nurse. I don't see myself saying it. But if you call it to me, I probably would take it because probably would make me smile because I am a black male nurse. So.
All right. And the power of words are powerful. Who hasn't answered here? Dr. Franklin, Dr. Aline.
I'm not, so I haven't heard the term used much except on social media. So it's not a very popular term to me. So I'm indifferent to it. So I don't really, I've never been called a nurse. I've never heard anyone call someone a nurse. I think it's kind of corny to me. I personally think it's corny. You're just a nurse, and that back in the day when a lot of the male nurses were much smaller, I could see it as being a thing. But now we've seen the amount of male nurses growing, so I don't think it has an impact at all. So I think that, to me, that's why it died. I saw it picking up a little bit a few years ago, but now, to me, where I've been exposed to, that term has been dying slowly.
And I would say, from my standpoint, I haven't heard it as much in the past 5 years or so. But I know when I first got into nursing, I would hear it, and I really didn't understand. I was like, well, how can we, if women, it was just how do you put the term man nurse and then woman female nurse? It's we aren't doing it for females. So I was just kind of confused, honestly, with the way the word was made. But honestly, I think one thing that I've come to realize as I've practiced as a nurse, that people come from different spaces. So if you're going to be in company with me and we're friends and all of that, we're going to have to make sure that we are getting titles correct. But if it's somebody who's a patient or what have you that I may not even see again, I won't get offended. I think just knowing that I'm a male nurse is extremely important. So I think it's kind of 50-50. I didn't really understand it, but it's kind of I guess this is what we're doing now. But I haven't heard it that much in the past few years, honestly.
Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah, I don't think I've heard many people say the word nurse much, but I do see it in social media hashtags and everything and posts sometimes. But I truly want to thank each and every one of you all today. Dr. Sheldon Fields, Dr. Dwayne Aline, Dr. Aaron Franklin, Mr. Cannon. Thank each and every one of you all for the incredible value that you shared in today's panel talk and Q&A. And I also want to give a thanks to Dr. Lauren Michaels Harris for running the show behind the scenes as well, and providing us with this E360 TV platform to help for us to share more about Black men in nursing. And then I want to remind for those of you who tuned in late, you can request for the replay if you missed some of this today. So I'm so grateful for this opportunity to inspire the next generation of Black nurses and Black nurse leaders. We have more work to do, and I'm so grateful that we were able to come together to share about nursing more for the community and for future nurses out there. Thank you all, and the broadcast has now ended.
Welcome. Please take your virtual seats. To use use your virtual remote, please scan the QR code or go to bit.ly/suitsandscrubsremote. Make sure to tag us on social at Nursing Inspired and use the hashtag Suits and Scrubs, Inspired to be a Nurse, Black Men in Nursing, Representation Matters, and of course, Nursing Inspired. Get ready. 30 seconds